Does Urban Meyer want the Penn State coaching job or not? I mean, the story won't go away. That in and of itself is interesting, don't you think? Locked On Big Ten starts right now.
You are Locked On Big Ten, your daily podcast on the Big Ten Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Big Ten. I'm Craig Sheeman, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. Thanks for making us your first listen each and every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Hey, if you're new, hit that free subscribe button down below. That way you'll never miss a single episode because we're here every day. And you can share, like, and follow. That would be great. Plus, you can hype YouTube videos as well. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. So download the app today. So I want to follow up on these Urban Meyer to Penn State stories that we've been talking about. Plus, we have Big Ten news. UCLA's leaving the Rose Bowl, by the way. And our Tuesday tweets. See if yours made the list. We'll do that in just a minute. But first, I do want to follow up on a couple of podcasts that we've done in the past following former Ohio State football coach Urban Meyer and his interest or lack of interest in the Penn State job. Of course, now he is a current football analyst with Big Noon on Fox. But his name has been attached to Penn State ever since James Franklin was fired. Almost as soon as the job opened up, Meyer said, you don't make a move like that to a coach like that who wins games like that unless you already know who your next coach is going to be. Some people thought that was an interesting comment that led many to speculate that perhaps he had insider intel where he knew that he was going to be the next coach at Penn State. Now, we did not think that was the case at that time. We didn't bite on that comment or that line of thinking. We thought he was just doing his job at that point as an analyst on Fox, giving his opinion on the top story of the day, nothing more, nothing less. But then there was the story about Meyer meeting with Pennsylvania Senator Dave McCormick the week of the Penn State-Ohio State game. And there's actual proof that that meeting took place at a breakfast because McCormick tweeted it out, put it on X. And we did think that that was interesting. We did. After all, big politicians are very influential with state schools in the states that they represent. Look no further at what the governor is doing in Louisiana as he's been meddling nonstop with the LSU athletic department ever since the firing of Brian Kelly and Scott Woodward, the athletic director. So we looked into it. Thought, all right, there's some there. Let's take a peek. And we talked about it here on this podcast. And Urban claims that he and the senator from Pennsylvania are just friends and just talked about politics and leadership. All right, we're on the record now that we have documented that Urban Meyer has been caught lying before to the media and that he's very good at parsing words. So we kind of took that statement. We're just friends. We're just talking about politics and leadership. Sure. Whatever. Still nothing there, right? Nothing that we can really jump on. But then we reported about a recent report from a guy named Zach Gelb from Odyssey. It was picked up by numerous outlets, and that said that Urban Meyer was talking to the bigwigs at Penn State about becoming the program's next football coach. But that conversation did not go well because Urban's answers to questions about name, image, and likeness were quote-unquote unsatisfactory to school officials. All right. It should be noted that Urban Meyer won 3 national championships at Florida and Ohio State before the era of name, image, and likeness, and before revenue sharing, and before the transfer portal and all that we have to deal with now if you're a head football coach. Still, Urban was asked about this report. He flat out said that his desire to return to coaching is gone. That was a statement. All right. Was it true? Was it not true? Was he buying himself some time with that statement? I don't know. So was his desire to coach gone, or was it squashed because Urban had already been turned down for the Penn State job? I don't, because that would be an embarrassing revelation. Big time Urban Meyer decides he's interested in a job and doesn't get it. That would be bad. So Meyer said that his phone started blowing up after this Gelb story came out. And he did confirm the breakfast conversation with Senator McCormick, but he denied a conversation took place about name, image, and likeness with Penn State officials. Meanwhile, Gelb is doubling down on his story. He says he's got two sources. And he says, by the way, that he never mentioned with his two sources or his story anything about the conversation with the senator from Pennsylvania. That's all Urban offering that. And of course, all the senator offering that out with his tweet. So Gelb has even offered to hook Meyer up to a lie detector test for an unnamed charity event and challenge Urban to deny previous interest in the Penn State job. So now what? Is he calling Urban a liar? Well, Urban has lied publicly before, so what are you going to do? Gelb's recent post on X stands by his assertion when he says that Meyer had strong interest in the Penn State job and name, image, and likeness is the reason he won't get it. Although that's not quite the same as saying he's talking to school officials in a formal interview situation and that the whole thing blew up over name, image, and likeness and those kind of a slightly different take here on that. But maybe, look, still maybe Urban Meyer may have reached out or had his people reach out and say at Penn State, hey, hypothetically, if I were to come out of retirement, coach, would there be some mutual interest? I believe that probably maybe did happen if he is interested. Now he says his interest in coaching is gone. So you be the judge. We have a track record where Urban hasn't always been truthful. Got a little bit of story here where there's smoke, there's fire. And the situation makes sense for both sides to at least get together and talk at the very least. And I believe at the very least that happened. Look, this all went down at Michigan State too when they fired Mel Tucker. They talked to Urban Meyer. There was some interest. I even think there was a little bit of enthusiasm behind the scenes for that possibility for about a day. Anyway, I think maybe Urban at the end of the day, look, he makes millions of dollars to sit behind a desk on a Saturday and talk about games that he's at, and he's free the rest of the week. He quit both of his jobs at Florida and at Ohio State because he was burnt out, health reasons, burning himself to the ground, burning the candle at both ends, whatever cliche you want to use. I do think he does like to be courted. I think he likes to date, if you know what I'm saying. But then ultimately, these things don't work out for one reason or another. Anyway, that's an update to an update. This guy seems like he's saying that Urban Meyer is lying about this situation. He's sticking to his story that he's got two sources that say he was talking to Penn State. I'll let you decide. Hit me with the comments. We'll see where we're going with this thing. Job's not filled yet. Never replaced James Franklin yet. So we'll see what happens there. If you are new to this podcast, we are here every day talking all things Big Ten. So hit that free subscribe button, and that way you'll never miss a single episode. And also, if you could share, follow, and like, that helps us out too, because I know you're probably a Big Ten fan if you're checking us out. I know if you're a Big Ten fan, you know other Big Ten people, either your family, your friends, or former roommates. Hit that little share arrow and send this podcast to them. We would love word of mouth, spread the word. Let them know we're out here every single day. Plus, we have a website, talkbig10.com, where all of our podcasts go. You can go back and check out what we did yesterday, talking about the excitement over the weekend with Indiana and Oregon, among other things. Coming up, we will talk about Big Ten news like UCLA leaving the Rose Bowl. We have the numbers. They're under a contract with Pasadena. We'll tell you what it's going to cost to get out of that deal and move to SoFi, home of the Rams and the Chargers. And we'll have our Tuesday tweets. All that's coming up right here in 1 minute on Locked On Big Ten. College football in full swing. It's November, and we couldn't be more excited about it. We love talking about it. Maybe you talk about it with your friends, and then somebody one day says, hey, let's go to a game. Well, we need to get tickets. That's where the Game Time app comes in very handy. And by the way, it's just not just sporting events, theater, concerts, comedy shows. If it needs a ticket, Game Time can get it and get you great deals and you don't have to deal with all the red tape and all that. So you get the best prices with Game Time. Gives the advantage back to you. And to pull up Game Time, couple of taps, boom, you're going to the game. Amazing deals. And guess what? You could get to your favorite college football game for as low as $25 a ticket. It's faster, it's cheaper, it's less stressful than any other way to buy tickets. So take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. Thanks for checking us out here on Locked On Big Ten, especially you everydayers. We always appreciate you. And thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network out there. Meanwhile, be sure to hit that free subscribe button down below. Share, follow, and like Locked On Big Ten, your team every day. And check out our website, talkbig10.com. All right, so there's another follow-up to another story we did about a week ago. UCLA. Looks like they're moving out of the Rose Bowl. And then we thought, well, the contract's too big. It goes into like the 2040s. It goes on forever. They're not going to be able to get out of that. But UCLA is preparing to leave the Rose Bowl and play its home games at SoFi Stadium, the home of the Rams and the Chargers. And as soon as next year, 2026, multiple sources say this is a done deal. The Bruins have called the Rose Bowl home since 1982. Used to play at the Coliseum before that, sharing it with USC and whatnot. But UCLA says they could get a lot more money with premium seating and suites and sponsorship at SoFi. SoFi holds about 70,000 people. That's obviously less than the Rose Bowl. It's 12 miles from UCLA's campus. The Rose Bowl in Pasadena, by the way, is 32 miles from campus. So the only problem is the university is going to have to buy out its current lease with the city of Pasadena and the Rose Bowl. This contract runs through 2044. I mean, that's further out than even the horrible ACC media rights deal that expires in the 2030s. 2044. So the buyout could be between $60 and $80 million, but they think they can make that money up by going to a new location. And UCLA's departure on the other side would cost the city of Pasadena about $1 billion. People coming in, hotels, whatever the case is, sponsorship, whatever you can imagine. Lawsuits have already been filed. Pasadena and the Rose Bowl claiming that UCLA has already breached the contract just by even looking elsewhere. So this could get drawn out. But UCLA is wanting to make an announcement, and they're wanting to move next year. Stay tuned for that. It's gonna be weird. Look, I used to live in Los Angeles. And before I lived in Los Angeles, I grew up in the Midwest. I used to love watching the Rose Bowl on January 1st. It's gorgeous on TV. When you're in the dead of winter in the Midwest and you're watching the Rose Bowl and the mountains and the blue skies and the color of the pageantry. And then I finally got to go to a Rose Bowl in 2001. And the stadium's a little rundown. It's a little bit rundown and simplified. And they don't have all those suites that they could sell at SoFi. Obviously, SoFi is a very shiny, brand new state-of-the-art facility that they think that would help in recruiting and corporate sales and all that stuff. So anyway, keep an eye on that. That's the next big thing brewing out there. Meanwhile, tonight, Tuesday night, pretty good slate of basketball going on. And by a pretty good slate, I mean a lot of teams in action. Number 7, Michigan, 1-0 already. They're taking on Wake Forest. That is at FS1 at 6:30 Eastern, 3:30 Pacific. App State is at Ohio State. Ohio State with 2-0 record. 6:30 Eastern on Big Ten Plus. Penn State hosting Navy. Penn State 2-0. 6:30 Big Ten Network, Eastern times here. Alcorn State is at Maryland. Maryland is 1-1. They have a 7 o'clock game. You can catch it on Big Ten Plus. Maryland Eastern Shore is at Nebraska. The Huskers are 2-0. That's at 8 o'clock on Big Ten Plus. And got a ranked versus ranked tonight with some Big Ten teams, or Big Ten team. Number 17, Illinois, is hosting number 10, Texas Tech. Both teams are 2-0. That's at 8:30 Eastern, 5:30 Pacific on FS1. And then Ball State is at Wisconsin. Both teams 2-0. That's at 8:30 on the Big Ten Network. I do have a note about Indiana basketball. They're not playing tonight. The other game against Marquette, we caught it on CBS on Sunday afternoon. The Hoosiers improved to 2-0. And with that win over Marquette, they hit the century mark, 100-77. Darian DeVries is 2 games into his tenure. Of course, take it over from Mike Woodson in the offseason. DeVries completely revamped this team. The team, there was no team to inherit. There were no people, nothing. You didn't inherit any players. 0 total points scored from last year are returning to the team this year. And it was a complete rebuild from the studs up. And usually that could take years. So not in this day and age, though, of the transfer portal. So he's got a team together, and they don't look bad. I expect them to be ranked, actually, in the top 25 pretty soon. By the way, quick side note, Purdue, which is preseason number 1, even though they're winning, they dropped to number 2. And Houston, Calvin Sampson. Houston still is now number 1. Anyway, I think Indiana will be ranked soon. And his son, Tucker, just a complete basketball player and really good. Came with his dad from West Virginia. Lamar Wilkerson's another player to watch. His shooting range is from anywhere inside the half-court line. He's from Sam Houston. So this team can score. It's exciting. It's fun to watch. Their big weakness is their lack of size. If they go up against like a front line like Michigan has, could be some trouble. But if they can shoot over them, we'll see what happens. I think it's going to be a fun team to keep an eye on. And by the way, this note, so name, image, and likeness has been out and about for a couple of years. Apparently, it's paying pretty well for everybody. So USC women's basketball star Juju Watkins, who, as you know, is out this season because she tore up her knee late last year. She's making some name, image, and likeness money. She was a superstar in the game. A lot of people paying attention to her. She is investing in the Boston Legacy Football Club. And by football, I mean soccer. It's an expansion team in the National Women's Soccer League that will debut in 2026. So that makes Watkins the first college athlete to invest directly into a professional women's team. So congratulations for her. It's pretty cool. All right. If you are new to our podcast, every day we have a feature that we close out with, a little benchmark, which makes us more unique than any other podcast out there. So Mondays, we always do my top 10 Big Ten observations from the weekend. And if you missed it yesterday, go back and check out yesterday's podcast for a second. Listen after this one. And we admitted yesterday there were so many awesome things that happened in the Big Ten this weekend. I had a hard time cutting it to 10. Usually there's about 9, 10, or 11 obvious ones. Cutting it to 10 this week was hard. We did it. It's a good list, though. Tuesdays, today, we do Tuesday tweets, or if you call it X. Tuesday tweets, send us a post on Twitter or X at Talk Big Ten. We'll put it on the podcast. We'll see what we got next in a minute. Tomorrow, Wednesdays, we always do power rankings. And we're going to power rank 1 through 18, the Big Ten football standings. Thursdays, we take a look at the Big Ten Network because we have similar interests, even though we're not associated with them. And we pull out the Big Ten Classics and the Big Ten Live Action doubleheader, tripleheader, whatever they got going on that weekend. We highlight a few things for you on the schedule for Big Ten football. Basketball season, we do the same thing. And then on Fridays, we go on the record with our pigskin picks. So that's what we do. Coming up next, Tuesday tweets. We'll see if yours made the list. That's here in a minute on Locked On Big Ten. FanDuel makes the excitement of watching games even more exciting. Look, we're excited. We're fans. We're passionate. We get pretty worked up about these games. Take the NBA, for example. There's no better place to get into the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the beginning of the game, you could jump in live, real-time action and jump in there. And you can combine your live bets with the same game parlay for the game. Maybe you had something on it before the game started. You can jump in there, get bigger payout with the parlay. It keeps every game exciting, especially if your team's making a late push. My hot tip to you, I like overs. I like overs in Miami Heat games this year. They're scoring at an incredible pace. You know, last year I used to always do overs on Pacer games. Did quite well there. but not now. Then, between injuries and losing players. By the way, you might want to bet unders on Pacer games for the rest of the season. Nevertheless, head over to FanDuel.com for stuff like that and sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. That's at FanDuel.com. Thanks for checking us out here on Locked On Big Ten. We always appreciate you each and every day, and you everydayers here as well. Again, we have multiple podcasts every day, and then we go live on the weekends. I'll tell you about that in just a minute as well. But I want to thank you for making Locked On the number one sports podcast network out there. In the meantime, let's go to Tuesday tweets and see what we have. We pulled this right from our Twitter account at Talk Big Ten. And we'll see if yours made the list. This is from actually at FanDuel Sportsbook. Here's a picture of Fernando Mendoza and his Heisman. It says Heisman season lives on. And as you can see, he is the odds-on favorite to win the Heisman after that big touchdown throw against Penn State. Julian Sayin in there at number 2 with the odds. And Ty Simpson, the quarterback at Alabama, is third on that list. A lot of Heisman talk this time of year. Here's from at the Field of 68. Didn't take long for Indiana men's basketball to make waves under Darian DeVries, as we were just saying. And here's a picture of his son, Tucker. And Indiana is the first team to score 100 points against a Shaka Smart coach basketball team when they beat Marquette. And underneath it is a picture of Wilkerson. First team to have 100 cracked for the Hoosiers in regulation since 2016. Yeah, they haven't done that in a while. No question. Here's from at the Big Ten Network. You probably guessed it. It is our Week 11 play of the week. And this is a video. It's a still frame of a video, but it is the toe tap for Omar Cooper and his game-winning catch for the Hoosiers against Penn State to keep their season perfect. That is cool. I could watch that a million times over. I still don't know how he was able to do that. Here is from at Big Ten Football. It is Nebraska's Emmett Johnson putting up serious stats at Week 11. By the way, Emmett Johnson has been putting up serious stats all season long. We can take a look at him and what he has been able to do with touchdown. He's always thrown up 100-yard games. In fact, this is what he did this last week. He had 28 carries, 129 yards, and a touchdown, but he also had 3 catches for 103 yards and 2 touchdowns. So he's the Big Ten Offensive Player of the Week. We're going to look more closely at that at tomorrow's podcast. We always like to highlight those guys in the middle of the week. Here's the college basketball report. It is a list of the top 25 for Week 2 of the AP poll. And as I mentioned just a moment ago, Purdue, even though they didn't lose, they fall from number 1 to number 2. Houston is in there at number 1. Michigan at number 6. So we're looking for more Big Ten teams. Illinois up to number 14. UCLA 15. The Spartans of Michigan State 17 on this list. So, and Wisconsin, by the way, at 24. So there you have it. The table is set for the upcoming season. Here's from at the Buckeye Nut. We've posted stuff from them before. It's a picture of Jeremiah Smith. Jeremiah Smith averaging 1 receiving touchdown per game that he has played at Ohio State in 25 games. 25 touchdowns, 25 games. Give him the Biletnikoff Award now, it says. Of course, that's the annual award that goes out to the best receiver each and every year in college football. Can't argue with that. And here's his quarterback from 11 Warriors. We Sayin Heisman. Get it? Julian Sayin. Picture of him. 82% completion rate is eye-popping. 300 passing yards and a touchdown this past weekend against Purdue. They actually trailed that game in the second quarter, 3-0. But they scored on 4 straight drives after that. Travion Henderson and Emeka Egbuka, former Ohio State players, now with the Patriots and Buccaneers, respectively. Here's a picture from at Heather, Buckeye 12. Trey and Emeka, my heart, she says, hashtag go Bucks. Now a meeting post-game. Patriots won that game, by the way. Pretty impressive. 8 wins already this year. And Henderson's a big part of it. And Egbuka is having a great year with the Buccaneers, too. Ohio State very proud. This is from at Ducks Swag. Always leave it better than how you found it. Thanks for the hospitality. Hashtag at Hawkeye Football. This is a picture of the inside of the visitors' locker room at Iowa. Looks like they could be, again, an update on the carpet. But yeah, spotless. It's clean. And yes, the stories are true. The inside of the visitors' locker room at Iowa are painted pink. Do that to kind of soften the mood a little bit before they go out and play. It's been that way for decades. I don't know if that was a Kirk Ferentz thing when he first took over or not. That's funny. Here's from Blue by 90. Michigan basketball comes in at number 6 at the AP poll. Action shot. Just thought I'd throw that in there as well. This is from at Big Noon Kickoff. Our next stop is a home run. Get the play on words for baseball because they are going to be at the Michigan Northwestern game at Wrigley Field in Chicago this weekend. Little montage there along with all the announcers, Urban Meyer, Brady Quinn, Matt Leinart, all those guys going to be there at Wrigley. That'll be fun to watch. Speaking of Northwestern, here's a video. It's a still shot of a video from the from Northwest, the Big Ten Network. It is a panoramic video. This is inside the new Northwestern football stadium. This is why they're playing at Wrigley Field against Michigan, because they have been playing at a makeshift stadium on campus that holds about 15,000 people. But with Michigan, it's going to be a big demand and a moneymaker, so they've moved it to Wrigley. But yeah, here's the inside. The stadium is up, and it will be ready to go next season for Northwestern. So 2 seasons out. But yeah, it looks like the renderings I've seen, it is going to be absolute state of the art. But there we have it. Those are our Tuesday tweets. Send me a tweet or a post on X, and we'll put it on our podcast. Do it every Tuesday. So thanks for checking that out as well. That's always fun to go check that out as well. All right, a couple of notes. Saturday, we're going to go live after the Iowa USC game. It's a 3:30 game Eastern, 12:30 Pacific. So around 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Pacific, we're going to go live for immediate reaction, mine and yours, following that game. And we'll do a complete recap of everything that has taken place in the Big Ten throughout the day. If you are new here, hit that subscribe button so you never miss a single episode. And if you could share, follow, and like, that helps us out too. And college football fans, Locked On and Fire TV present the College Football Kickoff, your ultimate college football weekly preview. Drake Toll from Locked On Big 12 leads the conversation, along 2-time AP Coach of the Year Gary Patterson and former college star Jesse Hawley. And all of our Locked On experts come together and get you ready for all the games each and every weekend. It is a college football preview only Locked On could do. So catch that College Football Kickoff every Thursday throughout the season. What's left of it, we're moving fast, only on Fire TV. That'll do it for us. I can't wait to talk to you again tomorrow. We got some stuff planned about Curt Cignetti, Indiana, and also our power rankings 1 through 18. We always do that on Wednesdays, so that's coming up. Thanks for joining us here today. We'll talk to you tomorrow for Locked On Big Ten. I'm Craig Sheeman. We'll see you next time.